Secure people handle rejection through a manner of self-awareness. Okay, you probably want to write this down. You want to get a notepad. You want to take some notes. Okay, because this is something that you're going to want to reflect on and continue to mold into as ability and growing in the ability to become secure. All right. Number one is that self-awareness is the first step. Okay, when we say self-awareness, we're not just talking about your ability to reflect on the fact that you have a rejection wound or that you have a rejection problem. All right. The actual difference is being able to look at rejection through the lens of self awareness by number one, not a definition of my own, but through Dr. Zeb, who says rejection is honesty, or sorry, self awareness is honesty about who you are, where you are, and what you're doing. At any given stage, self awareness is honesty about who you are, where you are, and what you're doing at any given stage. Okay. Why is this important? Because in order for us to actually engage in overcoming rejection, we have to remain honest about ourselves, about who we're connecting with, about the opportunities around us, about everything that involves us in a particular situation. Okay. So there's a lot of you who may run to take rejection extremely personally. And you actually, from a lens of honesty, never even qualified from that which you're taking personal of someone's no. Okay. Like you are taking extreme personal vendetta to somebody telling you no, and you never really fully qualified for what you actually were applying for. Okay. It's kind of like the American Idol example. All right. Like you know you can't sing. You know you don't got vocals. You know you have no business being out on a public stage, and yet you decided to go anyway. And then when they told you no, you were like, they're missing out on a blessing. No, they weren't. You can't sing. And people weren't around you and honest enough around you to tell you that you had no business being up there. Okay. And so it's really important, as we're moving in this lane of overcoming rejection and dealing with it in a secure lane, that we are honest about ourselves, our decisions, our positionings, our abilities, and honest about whatever it is that we're experiencing from day to day. Okay. You cannot actually overcome rejection without first being honest about yourself and about what is in front of you. Okay. Who is in front of you, what you're applying for, what you're after, and what you're looking to achieve. So that's the first thing. And when we're talking about self awareness, yes, it goes into the length of honesty. It also gives us the ability to make adjustments with the things that we're actively seeing. Okay. So there's a difference between reflection and self awareness. We made a video about this on our socials that's uploaded. It's probably one, I think it's either one of the recent videos I have on my page at the time of us actually dealing with this, okay, on my socials. And, a lot of you have done reflection because you know that rejection is an issue. And you know that when you get rejected, you tend to shut down and you tend to be really reactive and you tend to tell yourself stories that no one wants you, you're not enough, no one cares. And we've reflected on that a lot. We've ruminated on that a lot. But self-awareness is actually the difference. The self-awareness is actually filled with decisions that become the difference between what you ruminate on and then what you actually change. Self-awareness is literally the decisions that create the difference between you staying stuck and ruminating on someone who doesn't want you and being able to move on to then be received by someone who wants you. Okay. And these decisions are all about being aware of those moments where, in the midst of someone telling you no, we are mindful of the stories that will attach. We are mindful of the initial responses that we will experience. And then we're making active decisions to do something different. That doesn't mean that we're going 0 to 100. That doesn't mean if you walking into this live right now and you're like, rejection is probably one of my biggest struggles. Fear of rejection is probably one of my biggest struggles. It is not you then turning around tomorrow in a span of 24 hours to now saying, I don't have a struggle with rejection anymore. It's about going from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, not 0 to 100 real quick like Drake. Okay. It's about us being able to go from 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4. And those small decisions looks like just simply growing awareness to the stories that we're attaching and not giving ourselves permission to continue diving further into the downward spirals towards decisions people make on us that we cannot control, and reinvesting our time into what's in front of us in the present with what's most important. Okay. What's up, Ash? Good to see you. I appreciate you being here. Moderator Ash in the building. Thank you. Thank you a ton. Shout out to everybody else that's coming through on TikTok as well. All right. So that's the first thing. We have to move in self-awareness. Without self-awareness, none of this and everything else that we're going to express means anything. Okay. Means nothing. All right. So be sure to like this live, share it. All right. Other people getting involved in this conversation. It'll be helpful. Okay. And there'll also be replays available for you guys to catch this conversation too. Number two, after we have self-awareness, okay, after we are living in honesty, not just about where we are, who we are, what we're doing at any given moment, but being honest about how we respond, being honest about our, experiences with rejection, our feelings towards rejection, okay, being honest about all those things. We don't get anywhere without being honest. The second place and second step that gives people the people or secure people the leverage to deal with rejection and not remain stuck in rejection, okay, is actually allowing the differences. Okay, I'm going to kind of put this into I'm going to explain this. I'm going to say it and then explain it. Okay. What gives people, secure people, the leverage and advantage on dealing with rejection is that they learn how to respond instead of react. Secure people deal with rejection by learning how to respond more than react. Okay. So here's the big difference between responding and reacting. When you react, you're moving from lanes and lenses of survival. You're moving through emotional survival tendencies. Okay. You are quick to bury yourself into the overwhelming experiences you're having emotionally without going so scientific on you. And all you see is the lack. All you see is what somebody is saying about you that you don't agree with, that you don't like, or that, whatever that means, whatever that looks like. We're just zooming so far into that we're reacting. What is a reaction? You might tell yourself you're not enough. No one cares. I'll never find. I'll always be. You'll use terminologies, absolutes like always and never. And you'll constantly lean forward into those things that will rehearse and reiterate a variety of stories that, if you do that long enough, will literally become as real to your body, your mind, your nervous system, your programming, as the ground that is beneath your feet while you're watching this. It'll become as real as the technology that you are watching this live through, you're listening to this live through. It'll become as real as everything else that you engage in from day to day. So reactiveness, okay, when you were talking about reactionary behaviors, this is definitely leaning into more of like, your hippocampus part of your brain that has the restorative, or I shouldn't say restorative, but stores a lot of experiences, emotions, okay, and a lot of signals that are flashing across your mind and brain at a fast pace. All right. And so what this does is, if we live there and we don't know how to integrate our reasoning with our emotions will simply lead, and it will always come from places of survival, because our brain is reacting in measurements to protect us instead of actually being able to integrate the experience to move forward beyond what happened. So this is where all the stories that we will create from one rejection will stem and multiply into a variety of other experiences of people telling us no. And it doesn't always have to relate to people. It can relate to jobs. It can relate to opportunities. It can relate to business. It can relate to fear of being perceived in a specific direction, people pleasing. I mean, it ranges to everywhere. So we live in reactionary behaviors. So when we're saying things like, wow, so this person doesn't want me, and yet I did everything I did, or at least I thought I needed to do, to put myself in position to be liked by this person, wanted by this job, a fair candidate. Now all I can think of is, well, there's nothing left. This is all I had going for me. There's nothing else. I'm not enough. Okay. It's reaffirming a lot of different layers of inadequacies That another moment of rejection is just simply exposing and making louder. It's not that this person telling you no created this in you. We're just realizing that this person's no is making that now louder than it's ever been before. And so instead of us needing to go so far into understanding roots, where it started, where it began, sometimes we just need to come to a recognizing that, yo, I'm being very reactive because I'm clinging so much to the personal stories I'm rehearsing about this person's no over my life. So secure people still deal with rejection. I want to put that out there. Just because you're secure doesn't mean you don't experience rejection anymore. It just means you experience it differently. And the difference between someone who's secure and lives and moves through rejection versus somebody who isn't just their ability to be self-aware, because there are some things that you get rejected by that you actually weren't compatible for and didn't qualify for. There are also some things you'll get rejected by that you do have qualifications for. You are ready for. This just wasn't the right time, wasn't the right person, wasn't the right opportunity. But a secure person also realizes that instead of reacting with all the initial stories that might flood my mind in the event of somebody telling me no, I have the ability to respond by allowing my emotions to be filtered through my beliefs. Okay. What do we mean? Well, when we're talking about the beliefs that we're cultivating as growing and developing in secure lanes and secure identity, we have to ask the question, in order for me to overcome this rejection, what has to be true? That's a really great question for y'all to be able to identify with where you are and with the security you're looking to develop. Just like in order for you to stay stuck in rejection, there are things that have to be true in order for this rejection to remain permanent in your life. What has to be true? It's a plethora of things: that no one wants me, I'm not enough, I'll be lonely forever. Okay. I'll never find someone who wants me as I am. I'll never be settled. I'll never be content. Okay. All of these different things that we can rehearse in those moments and those experiences. So all those things in our nervous system really have to be true in order for us to be like, for that reason, rejection will always have a number on me. Okay. But then if we look the other direction and we say, well, what has to be true for me to overcome rejection? We're not looking for right or wrong statements here. Let's just get it out there. What are the abundance of things that have to be true that gives me permission to overcome rejection? Well, that even though this wasn't what was wanted, this isn't the only opportunity. What has to be true is that there is somebody or something out there that I'm able to engage in that will reciprocate the wanting energy that I have to give. If we're going in the direction of people, what has to be true is that love can still be found, healthy relationships can still be cultivated, and I can still be connected to somebody who's willing and ready to be in a relationship with me. What has to be true is that I can still be qualified for what I'm after, even if it's not found here. What has to be true is that I can still be okay and at peace, even if somebody who looks at me in a specific direction that I can't control says they're not interested and says that they want to move forward. There's a variety of different stories that we can attach to these experiences that gives us the ability to move forward. We go back to the triangle that we create often: experience, meaning, and action. The person that attributes the meaning to their rejection, that they're not enough, will particularly reflect an action of not wanting to go on dates, not wanting to experience love, not wanting to meet people and connect, not wanting to give and try new things, not wanting to build the business, not wanting to post the content, not wanting to, and all this stuff that is halted by a variety of different programmings and beliefs will cause you to remain stagnant instead of moving in forward progression. Versus the person who is experiencing the same level of rejection and attaches the meaning that just because this person said no doesn't mean this is the only person that's available that gives me the opportunity to choose them. Okay, this doesn't mean that they're the only person left. This opportunity is the only opportunity that's left, and that this may not be the right thing, but that doesn't mean I'm not ready. And I'm going to keep looking, and I'm going to wait for the right thing, for the right person, for the right time that makes the most sense for where I am and where I'm going. That person that experiences that same rejection but attaches those kinds of meanings, that's more reflection of abundance instead of lack. Guess what? Their actions are not filled with stagnance. Their actions are filled with what? Productivity, moving forward. Their actions are still moved in abundance and contentment. Their actions are still talking to people, connecting with people, going on dates, having conversations. Their actions are still putting themselves out there, allowing themselves to be seen, still filling out job applications, still posting the content, still recorrecting and re-imaging the frameworks and all the things that they're wanting to put together for their business. They're not throwing it all away because somebody said no. And guess what? The latter actually has the better opportunity to experience the dreams, the visions, the goals that they have set out. The former, the person that is allowing this rejection to crush them because of the stories that are recreated in their minds, becomes further and further away from the marriage they want, comes further and further away from being the parent they want to be, comes further away from the life they want to live, the abundance they want to create, the peace they want to have. Am I talking to anybody in here? Put a 1 in the chat if this is making sense. The stories that are cultivated and attached, it is what is playing a role in what is either able to be experienced or unable to be experienced. So this is the difference, and this is what gives secure people the ability to overcome rejection. Realize I didn't say that secure people don't have rejection. Secure people get rejected all the time. Your boy is still getting rejected left and right. It isn't about experiencing less rejections. It's about how you experience it and what is the meaning that you're attributing it, and how are you managing the emotions that may or may not show up as you are experiencing other people's no. There are too many people out here in this culture that take rejection personally and then demand everyone else around you to make you feel comfortable without you experiencing their no. And let me tell you, for those of you who want relationships and want them in a healthy way, one of the greatest ways you're going to learn about somebody's character, integrity, somebody's stability, somebody's availability, how somebody actually genuinely sees you and wants to deal with you is not by what they say yes to. It's by how they respond when you say no. So if you're someone who's afraid of saying no, because if you say no, then this person is not going to respond to me. This person is not going to want me. If I say no, then this person is not going to want to deal with me. If I say no, then that means that this person is going to find somebody better and I can't let them go. If you are moving in those rehearsal paradigms and perspectives, that is more of a problem. You're going to learn a lot by the no's of people, just like they're going to learn a lot by what you say no to. And I'll just go ahead and say this while we're here. If at any point there's a relationship you have where you're telling yourself you are not willing to walk away by any means necessary, we might have an issue. One of the healthiest ways to know that you are actually ready for a relationship is not only the fact that you don't need one, but that there are some things that you have in place in your life that says if this is something that cannot be met, and we're not talking about superficial things, but if this is something that cannot be met, then I have to be willing to leave. And if you're in a place where you're saying no matter what happens, I'm not willing to leave, even to the point of this person being abusive, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, doesn't matter what this person does, I'm here forever. We got a problem. We got a problem. Security has the confidence that they'll be able to recover and would rather start over with what's left than cling to the little that remains, knowing that there's no one else in that connection that is willing to partner with them to make it better. It may hurt, and I may cry now, but I'll laugh later too. Hello. Hello. Y'all think this is good. This premium coaching is on another level. This premium coaching is on another level. You think this is good. You think this is good. You should see some of these clients. You think this is good.